Now let's move on to other issues. And the Nancy Guthrie mystery is intensifying in the US as the search for the elderly mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie has now passed the 2-week mark. President Donald Trump has brought into the issue today, saying that the kidnappers of Nancy Guthrie will face the death penalty if the 84-year-old is not found alive. It's an extraordinary intervention, as I discussed with our US analyst, Kristin Tate.
Well, it's been 16 days since Savannah Guthrie's mother was tragically abducted, and something needs to be done here. So good on the president for speaking out and making it clear that there will be harsh consequences, especially if the mother's not returned. I do have to say, given how long it's been, I fear the worst for her mother. I mean, I'm not sure she's alive anymore, but it's a very strange case. The whole nation has just been heartbroken for Savannah, and we hope her mother is found and alive.
Incredible amount of interest, as you say, a great mystery, big issue in Australia as well, because there's obviously an Australian connection. Here is Savannah Guthrie talking about the latest.
It's been 2 weeks since our mom was taken. We still have hope, and we still believe. To whoever has her or knows where she is, you're not lost or alone, and it is never too late to do the right thing.
I suppose the one benefit, Kristin, of this having such a high profile, this story, is that there's 350 million sets of eyes and ears around the US who would be looking out for any clue as to what's gone on here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was Ring doorbell footage that was released of the suspect, but it's sort of hard to see who this person was. He was wearing a ski mask, of course. The authorities have said what his height is generally. You can kind of see his build, but there's just not a lot of information. And it's a little bit scary for us in the US to think something like this can happen. An older woman can just be taken from her home and nobody can find her. And, you'd think with the best law enforcement in the world on the case, something would have happened by now, but no, just nothing. Nothing has really been discovered yet. It's kind of scary.
Extraordinary stuff. Let's go to the other end of the law enforcement scale and talk about the Epstein files. The Attorney General, Pam Bondi's been before Congress. She says that everything that's going to be released has been released. There are 300 politicians and prominent people named in the files. But the president, in the last few hours, has had his say again on the Epstein files.
I have nothing to hide. I've been exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping that they'd find it and found just the opposite. I've been totally exonerated.
Totally exonerated. It has worked out pretty well for him, despite the expectations of the political left over the past couple of years, Kristin.
Yeah, that's true. However, I would say this new list that was released has kind of infuriated both sides of the political aisle, just because people are really upset that there were so many millions of emails that were redacted. And also the way Pam Bondi did it kind of muddied the water on who was a predator and who was simply mentioned in an email. There were 300 or so people that were included in her letter, as you mentioned, really famous people. And you had people like, the songwriter Janis Joplin mentioned as one of the 300 people. Janis Joplin died when Jeffrey Epstein was 17 years old. And then you have her in there with people like Lex Wexner, who was a seriously questionable guy involved in what seems like a lot of bad stuff. So all these names were kind of jumbled together. You had even like Marjorie Taylor Greene mentioned as a name on this list. And yet the actual documents that, included her name to give us context were redacted. So people would like a little more transparency, but it's a good step in the right direction. And it does seem so far that Trump has been exonerated. So that's great.
Well, one person who certainly hasn't been exonerated is the former Prince Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor. It's getting a lot of attention. Some new photos have been brought to light here. We can show of the Prince when he was working for British taxpayers, effectively, hanging around with various women who are unnamed. Is this getting a lot of attention in the US, or are they focusing more on the politicians?
Oh, no, it's getting quite a bit of attention. And I think this could take down the entire royal family. I mean, anti monarchy sentiment is at highs right now in Britain. I saw a poll that only like 51% of people there say it's very important to have a monarchy. That is down significantly from 86% in the 1980s. So this is very bad news for the royal family in America. Of course, the Americans are very interested in this as well. It is just such a far-reaching scandal that seems like it touches every part of the globe, and people are fascinated by it. But we do need more transparency, I think.
Well, if you want a story that's just a little bit more bizarre even than the Epstein files, check this one out. Barack Obama and aliens. Have a look what he had to say.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
What was the first question you wanted answered when you became president?
Where are the aliens?
Where are the aliens?
Kristin, we've gone from the Epstein files to the X-Files.
I mean, that would be the first question I would want answered if I were president. But I've always thought that all this talk of UFOs were a distraction from other things going on. You'll remember at the end of the Biden administration, there were these weird things floating through the sky, all these drones. Americans were obsessed with talking about it for months. And then Caroline Leavitt gets up there when Trump is elected and tells us all, oh, those were just, authorized drones that people had begun to notice. And I couldn't help but thinking, I feel like the Biden administration almost wanted the conversation to be about UFOs to distract from, the wide open border and the fact that he was basically, a brain dead guy in office. So could there be UFO life out there? Maybe. But I think a lot of this stuff is a distraction from political scandal.
A great political distraction. Thanks for joining us, Kristin. Great to talk to you as ever.
Thank you.